Welcome to Intuitive Edge. This is where we take an intuitive look at what's going on in our world. Today I want to talk about big tech and their censorship, and I want to take a look at this and see where this is heading. Some of you may be aware that Project Veritas sent another person undercover, and they uncovered some pretty frightening stuff at Google in terms of their plans to interfere in the 2020 election and their disdain for all things conservative, Republican, anything that's not like them. So I want to take a look at this, see what the cards have to say and what we have to look at going forward. But first I want to just show you what the nutshell was said by a person at Google in their own words. Take a listen. So let's take a look at this. Okay, so the first question is, why is this being done? Lay out a couple cards here. So I laid out the spread and I sat with it for a few minutes, kind of looked at some of the cards, and there was a key question that kind of stuck out at me, and I want to share with you what I did. In looking at these cards, I pulled out there's this deck. This is the Herbal Tarot deck. I'll show you this card here. This is the Two of Wands. I pulled out this little, I guess it's a little guide that came with the deck that kind of gives a little more insight on the meaning of that particular card. Each deck has its own flavor with it. And so I like to read those once in a while. And okay, if you hear background noise, sorry if it's distracting. Anyway, on this question I asked is what should be done? What should be done about this tech censorship? And I thought this was really interesting because the Two of Wands came up. And I want to read this because it's interesting. It says on the Two of Wands, this is about assessment, evaluation, recognition of one's full potential, genuine appreciation of one's own manifested power and capacity. So that's like saying to what should be done is to recognize the power and the capacity that these tech giants have. Now, flipping through to the end of this, I'm going to jump around a little on this reading. Flipping through to the end card, this is like, what's the outcome for this big tech censorship? What is the ultimate outcome? Now, keep that in mind, what I just read about the Two of Wands and recognizing that power and that capacity. Because the card on the ultimate outcome of this is the Six of Cups. And it came in reversed. And what I found interesting, I gotta find it. Hold on. Okay, so check this out. Reverse meaning of the Six of Cups is a failure to recognize the importance or power of another person or of a circumstance. So we had that what should be done is to recognize the power that these tech companies wield, and the ultimate outcome being a failure to recognize it. That's concerning. I think there's a lot of work that needs to be done to bring awareness to this. And quite frankly, it seems to me that Congress and those in charge are woefully unprepared to deal with the behemoth that is tech. Google. They are so big and their power is so far-reaching. I don't think that our Congress people have a grasp on how to deal with it, much less what they're dealing with. I don't think they see clearly what they're dealing with. That these companies are so enormous and the power that they have, not only with AI, but now with just blatant censorship, and they don't even really try to hide it. The quotes that I showed you earlier in this video were taken from a Project Veritas video that was taken down by YouTube. Now, that video is still on their website, but YouTube took it down. Why? Did it violate terms of service? I mean, these happen regularly. And it's done in such a way as to silence one side and to present the leftist point of view as mainstream when it's not. It's not mainstream. There are plenty of voices out there all across the spectrum, and conservatives and some, way far right and others are being taken down, censored, not allowed to participate in discourse. And this is being done on purpose to sway public opinion and to present the leftist as, oh, we're mainstream, when it's not true. And I guess I can go over some of the other questions I asked and the cards that came up, but I thought that was key to the whole reading, was what should be done and what ultimately will happen. And I find it a little disheartening. Now, I'm an optimist. I don't like to, doom and gloom and not have hope. I always there's always hope, right? I'm very hopeful. And so I don't present this as, well, there's just no hope. But just to see that, that is the area that we need to work the hardest, is to really understand and to show what these tech companies are doing, what they're capable of, and to really get prepared on the best way to deal with it, so that we have a society moving forward that is welcoming, that is open and transparent, and that we can have discourse on any topic and be free to agree or disagree. That's where we need to be. But where we're heading is one giant monopoly getting to tell the public what is appropriate and what's not, and they get to determine that. And that's not okay. I'm not okay with that. I'm sure you are not okay with that. I mean, if you are okay with that, well, this probably isn't the channel you should be watching. But anyway, I'll take a look at these and see what else we can glean. So another question I asked is, what is their goal? And I got the Ace of Wands. This is a power of creative energy. Aces are new beginning. They want to be, these tech companies want to be in control and be the creative force to determine the future, the narrative, everything. The future, what's coming up in the immediate future, and this is a card of a fight, a struggle, Five of Swords. Now this card is looking directly back on this Two of Wands that I showed you earlier. This is what should be done. And this is like, you got to get this is about having the world view, the picture of what's happening. You got to really get this picture of what this is truly doing. And learning the scope and the breadth of what is happening right now. And this fighting card is looking directly back onto that, like challenging that. So people that are trying, like Project Veritas, trying to shed the light on this tech censorship and what they're doing, this is like, to me, this card is like doubling down back on that. They're fighting it, and they're going to fight it continually. Another question I asked is the movement. Is there something like a counter movement, anything behind the scenes that is maybe a counter movement to what is happening? And I got the Queen of Pentacles. This is a strong woman of means, which is good. And so I do think that there are groups or people, perhaps with money, which is helpful, that are entering this fight, that see what's happening and want to combat this giant and slay this giant for the good of our future. And I think there are people doing that, and we need to support people like that financially if you can. Certainly word of mouth, spread the news, let people be aware. That's our biggest obstacle that I get from this, is awareness. We've got to become aware of what these tech companies are doing and what they're capable of doing. So underneath it all, we have this Four of Swords. This is a card of kind of a sleepy card. I'll show it to you. It came in reversed, but this is just kind of like this being withdrawn, needing to take a break and rest. This is like burning the candle at both ends. I think we're in for, this is going to be a 24/7 fight, an endeavor that some people will, I think the people with means and money that want to combat this, it's going to be something that will tax their time and energy. But there are people on the front lines of this, and it does feel like a battle for sure. So I'm going to leave that here. I know that's a lot, and I like to be positive, and I do think that where we have little wins is good. You know, this is not a right-left thing. This is about people's ability as human beings to have free speech in the market of ideas, and to be able to have rational discourse, and to learn from the other side and what other people are thinking, and this is how we learn. This is how we develop critical thinking, you know. I don't want to get off on a soapbox, so I'll leave it here. But thank you for watching. This is Intuitive Edge, and we will keep our eye out on this big tech censorship, because it is a real problem. So, all right, we'll talk to you next time. Bye for now.